Hello and welcome to this second video on turnaround and shutdown. We start this video by asking this question: why this activity, why turnaround shutdown is a special and create challenging? Actually, for many reasons. The first one, we done this turnaround to be competitive with other leading industry. The second one is to consider it as a project, and we have to manage turnaround and shutdown and apply as a project so we can utilize all project management techniques and tools. Safety. We should meet all safety requirements during this shutdown, and also we should meet all cost and duration targets. We should not deviate it from our budget and the cost already planned, and also we should stick with the duration target. This activity produces a sort of financial and technical pressure. It required logistics. What we mean by logistics, it means predicting what is needed, predicting what is cost required, what budget required, and predicting all the scope of work to be executed during this short period. It also includes both known and unknown work. Some additional work which we initially we not predict or we not anticipate could be arise during this activity, and will be added to whatever we already decided as a work scope. Next, we ask another question: why planning and scheduling for this activity is a must? Why it is a specialty? Why it is a critical? Actually, for many reasons. All these reasons is related to the characteristic of this activity, the characteristic and the speciality of the turnaround and shutdown. It includes duration. What we mean by duration? Duration means we are limited to almost between 3 to 60 days in duration. So we should stick to duration. Frequency. Generally, shutdown and turnaround done annually or every 2 years or every 3 or 4 years. Production capability. During the shutdown, all production capability are lost. Expense. The expense is higher than any running or normal maintenance activity. Budget. Budget is high. It is in the range of 100,000 to millions US dollar. Complexity. It is a very high complex event. Contractor. Extensive use of external contractors. Work. More work has to be done. That's demanding function. People. Many people will be involved during this activity. Large number of people. Routine or non-routine. It is non-routine activity. It's not similar to running maintenance, starting with identification and the planning and scheduling, execution, and such routine activity. In shutdown and turnaround, the situation is different. There is sort of overlap between all these activity. Pressure, significant amount of pressure during activity of shutdown to maintain a successful result. time scale, very tight time scale. It is the shortest possible duration, and maintenance personnel has to take advantage of this short period and able to accomplish whatever they're not able to accomplish and execute during the running maintenance. Negotiation or discussion, there is no time for negotiation or discussion because we are under pressure. It is a complex event. Budget and resources, very constrained budget and very also constrained resources. As we mentioned before, budget is high, so this high budget create a sort of constraint because any percentage of deviation means a lot. Standard, we need to stick with standard. We need to achieve the highest accuracy and the highest quality according to whatever standards requirement. Discussion or many decision and discussion. Many discussion and many decision has to be made, has to be taken immediately, promptly. Whenever something change or something unpredicted, we have to take very quick decision and take the proper action. So this is why this type of maintenance is special, why it is a specialty activity. This graph summarizes to the answer to the question we already answered, why turnaround and shutdown is a specialty, why it is different from day-to-day maintenance activity. This graphic aid or graphic illustration consider all the point we mentioned, either regarding to the how the event is compressed, much compressed activity, more work, complex activity, large number of contractors and people, very expensive, demanding, shortest duration, little time for negotiation or discussion. Why turnaround is different from day-to-day maintenance through the year or running maintenance activity? Because it is one of the most critical times that affect the whole plant, the whole production. Either it can affect in a positive or a negative way. If it is succeeded, it will affect in a positive way, or if it is fail, it will affect in a negative way. Again, many decisions have to be made immediately or promptly during this very short and very complex period of activity. This activity, this turnaround, again, as we mentioned before, is compress the event. More work has to be accomplished, very complex, huge number of people and the contractor will be involved, very expensive activity, demanding, shortest duration of time. To know exactly where yours size of turnaround, you have to know that turnaround can be categorized in different levels. Could be small turnaround, could be small to moderate, for a small turnaround, the budget will be under 250,000. Duration will be during some hours. Lead time for preparation, weeks. Use of project or software. Sometimes we use project or softwares. Regarding contractors, usually low need for contractor or lead percentage of contractor. How it is team is constituted, it is only limited to the existing stuff. No need for usually for already in-house stuff. Compared with large turnaround, more than $10 million, it takes weeks. Preparation start years before. Always and intensive use of software, very high percentage of contractors, and separate staff is required for this type of shutdown. Another characteristic of turnaround shutdown, it is non-routine. Non-routine means the phases of turnaround is not in a consequence. Consequence means complete one phase before starting the next phase, like the running maintenance. But for turnaround shutdown, there is, as we see here, there is overlap, different overlap between different phases of turnaround and shutdown. This is a typical routine maintenance, which is different from turnaround phases. The phases of routine maintenance are in sequence. It is routine, but not the case for turnaround. Turnaround is non-routine maintenance activity. Due to this complexity in turnaround and shutdown, we expect certain amount of problems. It is okay to have problems, but the challenging is how we can handle these problems. What problems we might face and what is the cause of this problem? It is a complex event. It has a massive event, massive amount of work. So due to this complexity and due to these massive activities and the huge work scope, we might expect problems. Significant pressure to succeed and to accomplish. Tight time scale, shortest possible duration. During this duration, huge amount of activity and work scope has to be accomplished. That might create problems. It is a non-routine activity, as we mentioned before. It is very complex and non-routine. Difficult to predict this problem in advance, so we must prepare ourselves to these problems with certain action and prepare ourselves to handle this type of problems. Targeting might change during the execution period, so we have to prepare again for this change and take account for that change. Normally, due to this complexity and due to the huge amount of work scope and contractor people and many people involved, we might anticipate certain accident and which create problems. Some conflict might exist due to different priority, including and different objective and different interest. So there should be some conflict and we should prepare again and anticipate some problems due to this conflict. Unclear definition of the work responsibility and the lack of integration of management strategy also can create problems. Incomplete work scope definition might create problems. Ineffective planning efforts and scheduling effort and preparation effort during the initiation phase might create problem. Lack of coordination and coordinated procurement of supply of material and resources again might create problems. Due to the extensive use of outsourcing and poor contractor control and poor communication with contractor and outsourcing might create such problems. So we can summarize all these points with this graphic again, chart, which might indicate whatever the problem we are facing with turnaround and shutdown. Normally, this problem create a risk. So turnaround yield risk. Risk in what? Risk could be risk in safety, risk due to budget, in budget. Any deviation from the already allocated budget is considered as a risk. Any deviation from the expected duration of time also considered as a risk. Inability to start up and back up as per planned again is considered as a risk. How we can avoid this risk? Actually, many action has to be considered to avoid such a risk. Number one, we have to focus on whatever critical job. Select the job by their criticality. Do a sort of prioritization. We should have a prioritization system which enable us to focus on such critical activity and know where we should make our attention and make our monitoring and following this type of critical job. Activities, select activities that cannot be done during normal running maintenance or during normal plant operation, because turnaround and shutdown is expensive. So any job which can be done during normal plant operation, and this activity should be considered as well. Select activities that ensure the effectiveness of the equipment. Again, this is activity should be inspected. Inspect these activities that ensure the effectiveness of the equipment. Select the activity that complies to regulation requirement. Perform inspection in accordance with the standard. All these are issues and preparation and action to avoid the risk. Understanding, every member should understand the turnaround organization structure and should know to whom he should report and to communicate and to get instruction and forward reporting. The most important is the well planning and execution. It is essential to avoid the turnaround risk. Use of software and simulation facilitate turnaround and scheduling and planning and scheduling. What is the meaning of using simulation? Simulation facilitate some software and some simulation package, commercial package available now, where we can test our, offline test our turnaround and do a simulation for the planning and scheduling and see the result and the consequence of our planning and test our planning and scheduling and execution and the procurement and the including of outsourcing and contractors. By using this simulation, we can eliminate a lot of risk during the turnaround.